Good day everyone. My name is Romel Arciosa of College of Teacher Education in Sultan Kudarat State University, Tacorong City, Sultan Kudarat. My study is all about elliptical T'nalak analysis and determining on symmetric and non-symmetric geometric patterns of some ikat weaving in southern Philippines. My abstract of this study I creates a theoretical equation that determines the symmetric and the non-symmetric patterns of some ikat weaving, particularly the bidkikim and the kitumbi. So the two T'nalak textile weaving patterns of Tibuli, an ethno-linguistic group from Tibuli, South Cotabato. This T'nalak textile weaving or the ikat weaving are done by the women Tibuli elders whose artisanship was inherited from their ancestral families. The textile weaving had a unique elliptical designs which are comparable to the designs made by other ethno-linguistic group coming from all over the Philippines or even in the neighboring Asian countries. This ITA, or I call it Elliptical T'nalak Analysis, main function is to determine the symmetric and the non-symmetric weaving patterns of the T'nalak, particularly the geometric patterns in terms of the design, particularly the elliptical shapes that are most common in all T'nalak textile weaving. Okay? The formula is to determine a machine-made T'nalak or human-made T'nalak in terms of the originality of the one who made the T'nalak. And I call it as ethnotechnology. So this will answer the problem of counterfeiting of the T'nalak in the market. So the comparison between the analysis of the elliptical designs we're going to discuss in the next slides. So I have the study here about Arciosa Antuando is all about ethnomathematics. So determining the designs in comparison with the computer analysis and the phylogenetic analysis. Okay? So it come out with that these two analyses are the same. So ibig sabihin nun, the computer analysis and the man-made analysis are incongruence in terms of how they analyze the design. So let's proceed now to the kitumbi. So this kitumbi weaving design, as you seen in the slide, is very unique and cannot be compared with the bidhinda. So this big kitumbi is weaved by Barbara Panoy Opong. She is still alive and she do weaving with this T'nalak. So in the conversation, it found out that this kitumbi weaving design is already passed in their generation and they want that this design is passed to the next generation. So in the right side, so I analyze now the images formed in this kitumbi. So it come out with the inner shapes and the outer shapes. Okay, so the kitumbi weaving design come out with the 4 PCAs in outer shapes and in the inner shapes. So the PCAs stands for the principal component analysis. So the images get in that particular kitumbi picture. So there are 30 images at random. And in that 30 images, it come out that in the inner shapes, so there are 4 PCAs, meaning the 4 PCAs are denoted as the symmetric patterns. And the other percentage come out in the PCAs come out as the non-symmetric patterns. So, ibig sabihin nun, mas maraming PCAs, mas mahirap siyang gawin. So, in the bidkikim weaving design of this T'nalak, so, is different with the kitumbi. So, as you see in the presentation, the the stroke in waving this particular bead kikim is different with the kitombe. So the PCAs in this kitombe is much more higher compared to the kitombe. So it come out that the inner shapes has 7 PCAs. So if you observe the inner shape in the bead kikim, so it's you can see the difficult part in the waving patterns. So that's why it come out with the 7 PCAs. Compared to the outer shape, so it has only 3 PCAs. So it implies that this the outer shapes of bead kikim is much easier compared to the inner shapes. Let's go more on the deeper results and findings and I'm going to discuss more about the bead kikim T'nalak. So in the bead kikim, so there are 7 PCAs in the outer shapes and the 3 PCAs in the inner shapes. So I use the probability and statistics, particularly the bell shape, wherein to differentiate the symmetric and the non-symmetric. So I call it as the PX stands for the symmetric, and all PCAs are included in that portion. And the non-symmetric is we call it as the PX sub 1. Okay? So ibig sabihin nun, if you have a 100%, ibig sabihin that is perfectly done the waving of a particular T'nalak. Because it is a man-made, so it come out with the 3 PCAs and a little percentage of non-symmetric. Okay, let's more go on detailed on how this how going to compare it in the amplitude and the wavelength patterns in terms of the analysis of the designs. I use the kitombe. So in the kitombe, so I get the 30 images at random and analyze in the computer, and it come out with the 4 PCAs in the inner shapes and the outer shapes. So when we say the wavelength will be the up and down, and it means that whenever you scan a particular image in that kitombe, so it's automatically read the number of PCAs. So that's how that's how the ethnotechnology analyze or compared to non-ethnotechnology analysis. So in this ethnotechnology, mostly use this particular formula. Okay? So this is a working formula. This is not yet a perfect formula, which I called it as ETAP formula or Elliptical T'nalak Analysis, or the probability of X stands for the symmetric equals to the probability of non-symmetric, and it is in the integral of 0 and y stands for the number of PCA, and the dx stands for the time, the non and the elliptical, non and the symmetric, and the y minus 1, y stands for the number of PCA, and the dt stands for the time of waving. So I'm still working on this formula. I hope that I can prove it that it can really make us a perfect formula in this particular study. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you learn a lot. Okay. So by the way, so my study is already put in the proposal and I submitted in the DOST. So but the DOST have something to revise in my proposal. So I'm working on that revision. So, and I also presented this in the Lexibo LGU with the non-NGOs, the IPs, and the weavers, and they really appreciate my proposal about the barcoding of the tinalak. And this barcoding mostly use my working formula. Okay, so that's all, and I'm much more uh, appreciate your comments and recommendation and suggestions of my study.